I'm just going to hand over to Pippa. Pippa, it's lovely to have you with us. Again, if you could take yourself off mute and then briefly introduce yourself and then advise Kate when you'd like to start your slides.
Yes, well, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Carl. It's just so lovely to be with you. And it's just, I have to say, it just feels such a privilege to me to be amongst people who also love the Lord and who have a heart for seniors, for older people. We spoke about that earlier, didn't we? How we refer to older people. So yes, my name's Pippa. I am Pastoral Care and Seniors Minister at Holy Trinity Church in Claygate, Surrey, as well as Carl mentioned, co-founder of the Daily Hope, which is the free phone line which we set up at the beginning of the pandemic last year with the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Church of England, and Faith in Later Life. I'm an occupational therapist by training, and I've worked for many years in the NHS as an OT in neurorehabilitation and also within geriatric medicine, as it was called in those days. And perhaps this is where my love of older people developed, although I actually think this love originally grew from having the most amazing grandparents. I just adored them. They were amazing. Kate, if we could have the slides, please. Thank you. And maybe the second slide. So in normal times, so pre-COVID, if you like, I run Connections, which is actually one of the largest weekly groups for seniors in the UK. We regularly would have well over 100 older people meeting together. Love and care, I would say, are key to this, and prayer surrounded every aspect. Prayer was right at the beginning, and it is just absolutely key. And Connections, I would say, uses a highly relational form of evangelism. Everyone is made to feel welcome and valued and special. And this is what brings people back each week. People love the fact that they are known and valued. You know, the fact that we remember that people have had an operation or cataract or whatever, or if it's the anniversary of somebody losing a partner, that is just so important to remember. Next slide, in fact, the next two slides, please, Kate. Yeah, you can see some of the activities that we put on there, all sorts of different things. There's a thought for the day, there's coffee and cakes. It's a very special morning, and we've obviously not been able to do that through lockdown. But I have to say, the activities, the thought for the day, the coffee and the cakes, they're all secondary in my mind to the love and care that is shown. Many of our seniors just love the fact that they've got somebody amazing to sit next to and chat with, or to be listened to. So many, of course, struggle on many levels, whether this is from isolation or loneliness, loss or bereavement, or reduced mobility, illness. So having a safe place to come to each week has meant the world to our older friends. And my team, which I spent a long time building up, have been absolutely key to the success of Connections. And I'll mention teams a little bit later. So Hymns We Love. We developed Hymns We Love from within Connections. It's a very gentle and very accessible way of sharing the Christian faith through wonderful hymns. So we look at the stories behind the hymns, the authors, the message. This generation particularly have grown up, I would say, singing these wonderful hymns, whether that's at Sunday school or in school assemblies. And we've found even people who have dementia can still so often remember these hymns and the melodies. In fact, memory recognition is one of the last things to go. So this has proved to be an extremely successful way of sharing the gospel with this generation. And we are hoping to develop this further and share the series with more and more churches going forward. So at the beginning of the pandemic last year, we quickly realised that we would need to love and care for our seniors in very different ways, as we obviously couldn't all meet together. In fact, our last large Connections gathering was on, I think it was the 10th of March last year. So we set up what we've called a huge cascade of care, which has involved my large team of helpers and volunteers calling all of our older friends, 160, 180 people. We made sure that obviously we had everyone's details, of course. This has been amazing, and it's continuing even today. Literally thousands of phone calls have been made, and this has just been a wonderful way to keep in touch. The phone is so simple, and it's been great. I'd love to just mention goodie bags here too. We've put together hundreds and hundreds of goodie bags over the last year, some involving local schools. I'm so keen to hear about working with children and intergenerational working, because we do a lot of that in normal times, but obviously and during lockdown too. We've had to keep you going goodie bags. We've had Christmas ones, we've done New Year's ones, Easter ones. We've just delivered another 180 just last week, actually focusing on love, joy and hope. And these have just been so appreciated by our older friends. And just a little tiny token to let the person know that they're being thought of and prayed for. Often we will put a simple Bible verse perhaps in that, a little booklet. At Easter we put in the White Easter booklet, which was just such an amazing way to share the gospel. There might be a few chocolates, a little wooden cross that was so precious and really appreciated by so many. A small lavender bag, a coffee bag, a little packet of biscuits, a Christmas decoration, an Easter egg. I mean, the possibilities are endless. But having something to deliver is a fantastic opportunity for a doorstep visit too. And one wonderful thing we found is that by inviting our younger seniors, so perhaps the newly retired, perhaps who would normally come along to, I run walk and talks for our younger seniors, but they've absolutely loved being involved with these deliveries, walking in pairs when we were allowed only to walk in pairs, walking in little groups of 6 more recently. I think everyone's wanted to be able to help. So actually just being able to give people a way of helping has been great. And we've also involved children too with these packing and making up of the goodie bags and delivering them as well. Newsletters, printed newsletters and cards have been absolutely vital over the last year for all of our seniors, because a lot of them are not obviously on the internet, so they're not able to get the online service notice sheets. So we've sent various newsletters out with photos, which they absolutely love. It's just a way of people feeling connected. It's been an incredible, if not exhausting, year for my connections team and my pastoral care team. But I have to say, it's been a wonderful year in many ways as the community has pulled together. At the beginning of the lockdown, Lambeth Palace were very keen to hear what we were doing with our seniors, who, of course, as I've just said, many of them were finding themselves marooned at home. Many of them unable to engage in online services, of course, or podcasts like some of us might be able to. So the idea of using Hymns We Love, which is the series that we've developed within Connections, as the cornerstone of a free phone line began to emerge, and the rest is history. So Daily Hope was launched on the 26th of April last year, and it is supported by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Church of England and Faith in Later Life. Can we just have the next slide? Thank you. So it's been an extraordinary journey. To date, we've had over, I think it's well over 450,000 calls now. That's nearly 6 million minutes of call time, and countless older people, and people also who are younger perhaps, but who are housebound, have called this a lifeline. I'd love to encourage you to share this with any older friends that you have, or people in your churches or neighbours. It's free, it's available 24 hours a day, and there's a menu and you can choose from daily services, hymns, prayers, as I've said. Also, we've got chair exercises on the phone for people that have, obviously not been able to get out so much, sleep, reflections. There's all sorts of different things on there. If you did want to look for resources, I know that on the Faith in Later Life website and also the Church of England website, you can find out a little bit more. And if you wanted to print off flyers or posters, then those resources are there. It's a great excuse for a doorstep visit, I would say, actually. The way we pastor and support older people, seems to me to have changed a bit during this pandemic. We've had to take church, if you like, to the people, rather than expecting people to come to us. But I'm sure, if Jesus was here physically on earth still, he would have done exactly this, wouldn't he? He would have gone to the people. He would have loved and cared for them in practical and pastoral ways. So as the restrictions are beginning to ease, we've been continuing to go to the people. Next slide, please. And we've started up little garden gatherings. We've called them garden gatherings, which are just small groups in gardens or parks or even on pavements. We've had quite a few just in the road, well, not on the road, but little side roads. In fact, we've used carports. And the other day it started raining, so we resorted to having tea in someone's garage. It was hilarious. One darling lady who's recently lost her husband, actually, but she was so excited to come out, and we had tea in the garage. There's just 6 of us, and she said, "Oh, I've never dined in a garage before." It was lovely. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've done over the last year, and I'm sure for you as well, you just couldn't make it up, really, could you? In my experience, we are finding many people are very reticent to come out. I think it was David earlier was talking about that. Many have become much weaker and more frail from not leaving their homes for so long. And many are unconfident about coming out, and they worry about what to talk about. You might find that too. I remember going to something and I was just thinking, oh gosh, it feels like I haven't been in a social setting for so long now. And I think a lot of our older friends, perhaps that's a worry. What do I speak about? I've been on my own for so long now. How will it be? A lot of people are still quite fearful of the virus and are extremely anxious. So I think we're having to do a lot of coming alongside, gentle, metaphorical kind of hand-holding, as it were. And that's what I've been encouraging my helpers and volunteers to do, to take a flask of coffee, for example, to someone and sit on the front doorstep if they're scared of coming out. It's got to be very, very gentle. I'm very sure that for many of you as church leaders, you may be concerned about how you can re-engage with your older people. Some older ones will be very keen to get back to church, of course, but I would suggest, as I've just said, that there will be many who, for various reasons, will be anxious and fearful about coming back. So over this summer, I would encourage you in your teams to really pray about how you can reach out to this precious group of people. Garden gatherings are a great way of connecting. I'm thinking of one that I ran actually just last week in my garden, and there were 6 of us, 2 of whom had lost their partners since Christmas. We've lost a lot. And one of them, he'd been married for 64 years, so this was huge, just to come out, actually. And the other lady, she hadn't really been out at all. But it was the most precious time together. Over our tea, we laughed and we remembered, we cried, and we even ended up praying together, just giving thanks for these 2 precious ones who were no longer with us. We've celebrated birthdays this way, in gardens or on doorsteps, and just on Saturday, in fact, we took cake and balloons and cards around to one dear older gentleman, and he still lives independently on his own. We celebrated his 103rd birthday, a little group of 6 of us in his front drive. He's almost completely deaf, so there was a lot of shouting going on, but there was a lot of laughing too, and it was very, very special. Everyone, no matter what age we are, needs to feel included, loved, valued, and known. I think it's important not to think too far ahead right now. As we said, hopefully restrictions are easing further and social distancing too. So next Monday we can meet in larger groups outside. But for now, over the summer, coming alongside, listening, loving and caring for this wonderful people group seems to me to be the way forward. I mentioned building teams earlier, and having the right team is essential. And I truly believe that having a happy, motivated and valued team is the key to any area of ministry thriving. And I've spent hours and hours investing in my teams over the years. This last year has been a case in point. As a church leader, I cannot possibly ring every single older person or visit everyone individually, although I would love to do so. And I know you're not able to do this either. We only have so many hours in each day. So building the right team around us with different skills, but most importantly, a team of people who love the Lord and have a heart for older people, a team who can love and care for this very precious generation. It's key. Even if you just know of one other person in your church with a similar heart for this, can I just encourage you just to meet with them and start praying? Building loving and generous teams is a big passion of mine, but for now I would just encourage you just to start praying, as I've said, for the right people to emerge to help you with building your seniors ministry further. And I would be happy in the future to run a seminar on this if people would like me to. Sadly, there isn't time for now. So I'll leave you there. Please know that I will be praying for you. I've been praying anyway, and I will continue to pray for you as you consider ways of reaching out and supporting those who are older in your churches and communities. And I think, Carl, there may be time at the end for one or two questions. So thank you so much. Yeah, those are my details there if anyone wanted to get in touch.